Hi, my name is Leandro Facchinetti, and let's talk about audio production. So today with me, I have my special guest, Arya.
Hello, how's it going, everybody?
Yeah, so what we are gonna do today, or try to do today, is to record a jingle for the beginning of my streams. You know, when I have this screen, yeah, we're gonna have
hmm
a little song for when that screen is on. And I wrote a short song, it's about a minute long, and I think it's ideal for us to talk about uh, microphone placement, microphone choice, what to do with the room. And I tried to come up with a smart routing scenario with my usual streaming thing, so I would be able to run Reaper and have the all the screens with you and and we would have the best time, and we would sound super smart. And I spent about 40 minutes plugging cables and unplugging cables and checking the routing, and it didn't work. Which I guess is something that happens often in home recording. You think you understand your gear until you try to push it to the more complicated setup, and then it doesn't work. You don't know how to plug the cables. So I guess we will talk about that as well in the beginning, and then I will uh, actually start tracking things in Reaper. But I have a funny story about this. I was talking to Arya right before the call, right before the stream, and I did something to my routing, and I'm going to talk about exactly what I did in a minute. But I thought that he was not going to be able to hear me because the stream supposedly couldn't hear me, and I was supposed to be using the same audio feed to both. But it turns out that Arya was still able to hear me, which is funny because I have this weekly meeting on my job, and of course it's online. And I use the same streaming setup for that meeting. So I'm talking to Arya right now, and we are streaming together using exactly the same setup. And I had a bad case of allergies last time, so I went to my screen, or actually to the,
hmm
and people couldn't see me, but I just confirmed now that people could hear me. So I was like blowing my nose, just going to town, and and I noticed that everyone is quiet, and I was like, what's going on? I mean, they should be talking while I'm in the I'll be right back screen, and they couldn't talk because they could hear me. Oh man, audio routing is just a freaking nightmare.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think we're a year into the pandemic. At the beginning, when it was Zoom and all that stuff, I was like, okay, well, this kind of is less than perfect, but soon it'll be better. Like somebody will come and fill this gap in the market, make a really easy to use thing for basically doing audio. And there's some paid stuff that like works well, but still requires tons of routing. But there's not been a really good um, program to make this kind of stuff easy on the audio side. On the video side, everything's fine. You can even make yourself look like a dog, but on the audio side, we still got some ways to go, I think.
They are trying both Zoom and Skype, and I imagine that all other platforms have some notion of noise reduction, and they have a noise gate, so they do both suppression and gating of the noise, and it works relatively well. But I don't think they have anything as fancy as what they have for video with the background detection and everything. I mean,
hmm
I think that background detection and background blur and trying to use a green screen when you don't have one, it looks terrible. I hate when people use that.
hmm
It feels like they are like playing with buttons instead of paying attention to whatever meeting they were supposed to be in.
For
but
sure.
yeah, there is nothing too fancy about the way people treat audio these days, and audio routing can be a nightmare, especially on Mac OS, I find. So it seems like most people
Mm-hmm.
in the industry use Mac because of reliability, especially when they're doing things live, like we are. But
Mm-hmm.
it also seems like when you talk about streaming and using OBS, most people are gamers, and there is no gaming community around Mac OS. So the tools work better in Windows for instance, to route the audio from a computer application, so to route the audio from Reaper into the stream in Windows, it's just, you don't have to do anything. You just install Reaper, install OBS, and OBS can hear Reaper just fine. And if you want, you can even use Reroute, which is, it comes with Reaper, and then you have all the power you would imagine. But in macOS, you have to do a lot of handstanding, I guess for security purposes, so that applications cannot log, just hear your microphone every time. I mean, the whole time, and maybe hear you saying things when you were not supposed to be recording anything. So maybe it's because of that. I don't know why, but the routing situation in macOS is complicated.
Maybe show me your setup, and then I'll show you mine, and then we can compare. Maybe I'll pick up a few things from you. Maybe you'll pick up a few things from me.
Yeah, but before we do that, do you want to hear the song?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I guess today I am streaming, and I'm going to be using the streaming computer to do the actual recording stuff. So there will be a lot of, does this do what I think it does? And I think that this does what I think it does. So I think that now you should be able to see my second camera here.
Yeah.
And you can sort of see what I did with the space, by the way, which was part of my homework. Part of my homework was to write a song so we could record it, but part of my homework was to change the space. And I did that, so let me show you what I have right now. So I am now in the corner of the room. I guess the front camera was better for that. So I am now in the corner of the room, and I have all my moving blankets making a fort around me.
Very nice.
And then I have the mattress that used to be behind me. It is in front of me now, but it's in the middle of the room, smack in the middle of the room. So it makes the smaller room in the room that you were talking about. That's what I was trying to go for. And then I also have my backdrop here, which is just part of the bed frame that belonged to that mattress. So that is the situation I have now. Do you think that this accomplishes the room within a room thing?
Yeah, I think it's definitely an improvement. Do you hear any improvement? Just like not from recording, but just from your ears, do you feel like you're in a more enclosed space?
I think so, but there is also the power of suggestion, and I think that what we would have to do is go watch a stream in the previous situation and a stream now in this scenario, and then we would be able to tell the difference maybe.
And smaller rooms like cause kind of their own problems too, that like boxiness. So you know those things that they have nowadays, they like market it to everybody, where it like puts like a little box around your mic. I don't remember if it was with you we were talking about, but I don't like the way they sound. They sound like somebody's in a box. It doesn't sound nice. You know, they may fix up one problem, but they cause a few problems on their own as well.
Yeah, I think that what this accomplishes is not only a smaller room, but the sound travels in different ways now that I'm in the corner, and I padded most of the room within the room. I couldn't pad the whole room, but I can pad this part of it, which I think helps. So I think I did the clap test, right? Clap, and I try to hear for echoes, and I think it's better now, but I'm not sure I would be able to tell the difference. But yeah, I said that because that was part of my homework, and the other part was to write a song. So I wrote a song, and I like forgot about how it goes. So before the stream, I played it once, and I'm probably gonna mess it up. But it's only a minute long, so it's fine. And which camera do you think it's better for me to show what I'm doing? I think that this one is better actually, because it shows like the guitar as well.
Your lap, yeah.
So this is my guitar. It has not been tuned in a while, but we're gonna tune before we start actually recording.
You're left-handed?
Is the camera flipped? No,
Oh, maybe it's
Yeah, so let's
flipped.
see. I'll switch to this camera.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
fine too. Okay, nice.
So, yeah, we'll tune this before we actually start the actual tracking. But what do you think is best? Do I like? I'm now using this microphone over here to talk to you, the shotgun microphone. We established that that was the best
Mm-hmm.
microphone for streaming, but it may not be the best for
Mm-hmm.
recording guitar. But just for this to actually show you this, do I just like point it
Mm-hmm.
like in the middle?
Yeah, you can just point it kind of like towards the guitar. Like for now, just to hear the song, it'll be fine enough, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty of it in a
And do you
moment.
think, I think that I have the routing figured out to do like a scratch track thing. Do you think that it's okay for me to start
Uh-huh.
recording in Reaper? Do you think I should do that?
Sure, yeah,
Okay.
never hurts.
So you will not be able to see this right now because I don't have the OBS set up to show you this. But Reaper
Mm-hmm.
is ready to go, and I just need to save the project so I have somewhere where this
Sure.
goes. Here we are. Okay, and now Reaper is just recording whatever is coming from the same microphone that you hear.
Cool.
So here is my song to start the stream. The stream is about to start. We'll talk about cool or whatever we'll talk about today. It's about to start, so please hang in there while I check that everything is running okay. Sound check, camera check, lights check. How's my hair? Oh wait, I don't have any hair. Put some pants on and I'm good to go. So get ready whatever you are, cause the stream is about to start. Get ready whatever you are, cause the stream is about to start. There you go.
Woo! Very nice. I love it. That's very
Yeah, I messed it
funny.
up in the execution, but it's fine. I think we'll hear this so many times that eventually I'll get it right. So that's something we can talk
Yeah.
about, actually, the psychological aspect of this, which is when you're working on
Mm-hmm.
a song, you are listening for thousands of times that same 3 minutes, and it can get like, and then you take a time and you go do something else and you come back, but it's still like, uh, oh, thanks everyone on the chat. Thank you both for being here.
Oh, I
Thanks
should check
for
the chat.
for listening to that. Hope you liked it. And we have someone new. So, Roshan,
Oh, Tariq, he's my
hello.
buddy. Great friend of
Nice to have
mine.
you here. And the chords are not really classy. I'm listening to a lot of Jacob Collier these days, and it made me feel so bad about my own writing. But anyway,
Mm.
so yeah, how do you keep yourself motivated to get back to a project? I tend to do things that are like so short and simple because I cannot stand getting back to the same 3 minutes over and over, and I take some break and I come back, but I'm like, ugh. I get tired of the thing and I
Mm-hmm.
start to think that it doesn't sound good, and then you just scrap the whole thing. Or actually, I put it on a hard drive saying that I'm going to finish
Mm.
it at some point, and I never do. But do you have like your own bag of tricks for this?
I mean, one trick that I definitely have, I would say something like at least 60% of the music that I release for myself has been written and recorded and released within 2 or 3 days. So it like something came to me, I made a song, I sent it out there, and they're very short. So I mean, one way to get around the fact that yeah, you'll get bored of your song is to do it really quickly and not get bored of it. And on the other side of my spectrum, I have songs that I wrote 9 years ago, recorded 3 years ago, then re-recorded a year ago, then once again went to the studio and re-recorded 2 months ago. So and part of that is because yeah, I like got to kind of hate it, stepped away from it, came back to it, and it was sounding better. But yeah, like I even when I'm recording, I don't even do too many takes. I do 3 takes. Either it's good or if it's not good, it's like a played kind of a shitty show. So I try to really kind of like get through it. And I think to me, like performance is important. If you make a mistake, if you like in the middle of a recording drop something or burp or a string breaks, obviously you stop. But I think above and beyond that, like once you're like to a certain extent playing the song, like maybe right now you made a mistake or two. I didn't notice for sure. I got the gist of the song. I got the musicality of the song. So all that stuff is somewhat independent of the performance. And every once in a while you get like a dude who listens to like Dream Theater exclusively and they'll be like, "Oh, your and of the beat 3 is always a little late," but it's like, get out of here. Like that's not, I don't make music for that kind of person. So yeah, so one way to do it is just to like get through it quickly. And the other thing to do is yeah, like take short breaks from it, come back to it. And really like my belief is that okay, we both like Jacob Collier. So I think when Jacob Collier wrote with the love in my heart, I think, okay, maybe he's a little bit more sick of it than the average person, but he definitely knew like, damn, this is a great song. Like there's no way he doesn't think that. There's no way Freddie Mercury doesn't listen to his own music and goes, "Oh, I killed it." So that's another thing to do. It's like if I have a song and I'm like, "Oh, it's good, but like not amazing, blah blah blah," then I just kind of throw it away or I come back to it later. Like it really needs to, if it sounds good and I like the song, I know that I will like it if I spend a month on it. Yeah, does that
Yeah,
kind of
that
answer
is
your
actually
question?
valuable advice. And
Yeah.
Bo is also saying on the chat, I think that's the dilemma for every songwriter. But just like an athlete, you just have to keep going. And yeah, so whether we liked the song or not, we are going to try to record it the best we can. Okay,
Absolutely.
so let's talk about the routing problems that I have been having. And I think that the way we are going to have this conversation is like this. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. So in this view, you
Sure.
see me trying to set up the second computer for recording, and that failed catastrophically. So what I'm going to do right now is to duplicate this view in OBS, and you're not able to see this right now. But I'm going to add a display capture of my own screen. And then I can talk about why I don't usually stream with a single computer. So now we are going to talk about audio production, but also streaming. Okay, so I have to do this to make it full screen, and then I have to put it at the bottom. And then I have to remove this one, which doesn't make sense in this scene. So why do I usually have two computers? Oh my god, the screen is so complicated right now with everything going on. I'll go to this screen. And you're still able
Okay.
to see everything and hear everything, right?
Yeah, I can see I'm just looking at you from Skype, just to avoid the slight delay. But yeah, I can see that wiggly
Yeah.
colors background, and I can
Yes,
see the two of
excellent.
us.
And that's what the stream is seeing as well, hopefully. So, the reason why I have two computers for streaming is that OBS has a hard time when there is something else competing for the GPU. It doesn't seem like the CPU matters all that much. So the way that OBS works is OBS creates the composite of the scene. So it's now my computer and then both of us on the corner. And it does that using the GPU. That is the part of your computer that does graphics processing. And then it sends that to the CPU to encode. So the GPU is doing the compositing, and the CPU is transforming that information into something that YouTube understands, which is lower quality and everything. That's why there is some encoding involved. And it has to be lower quality because our internet is not super duper fast. And there are I think non-trivial applications that trip up the GPU. For instance, something that I do in almost every single stream I do is to use Visual Studio Code. And right now, the stream may have lagged for a few frames. It may have dropped a few frames. The reason is that Visual Studio Code is just showing text. But to make it fast, they render the text using the GPU, which is something like absolutely crazy to do. But that's what they do to make it fast. So if you open Visual Studio Code and you have an OBS stream at the same time, they're competing for the same GPU resources. And someone is gotta give. And usually it's OBS and it drops frames and everything. So that's why I have two computers when I do the streaming. But I couldn't do that this time because I wouldn't be able to talk on Skype and have a mix that has everyone's voices and the computer and everything without Arya's own voice to send to him, and then I would have to ship that to the main computer. It just got too complicated. So that's why I usually use two computers to stream, and that's why I'm not using it this time. And that's why the quality of the stream may not be the same. We'll see. Okay, so and another consequence is that I don't have a separate computer to monitor everything. So that's why the screen looks so crazy right now. That's usually what I see when I'm streaming. I see OBS here on the side.
Wow.
I see Skype and I see the chat. But now, you're not going to see any of that. Well, I guess I'm going to keep Arya on the screen. And I think there is a way for me to have like a small screen that is always on top. But I don't know how that works. What happens if I just minimize this screen? Does something show up? No. That's annoying. So I won't be able to see Arya. Yeah,
that's
all
right.
We have here Reaper, and we'll talk about the routing that I have to do to get sound out of Reaper and into the stream, which is something we hinted at in the beginning of the stream, right? And we will share notes because you do that as well, Arya. So I want to learn how you do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you how I do it. So here I have in my audio MIDI setup, I have this app that I installed called Black Hole. Is that the one you use, Arya?
That's one of the ones I use. I actually have stopped using it, but yes, that's one of the ones I use.
Why did you stop using it?
I do still use it for my streams, and I'm currently using it, but I noticed through some A/Bing, I was teaching one of my students is learning he's basically learning ear training. So what I noticed was that we did an A/B, like I had him record what I was sending to him twice, and then I was using Black Hole on one pass, and then I used Soundflower on the other pass. And Black Hole seems to I don't exactly understand what it does, especially now that I understand like how the whole thing works. I don't understand how it slightly changes the sound, but it slightly changes the sound a little bit. So when I was teaching him ear stuff, I just wanted him to hear exactly what I heard. And in the end, he actually ended up buying audio movers. So now we use his audio movers. But yeah, Black Hole was just doing something to the sound, like turning it down a little bit, but also rolling off a little high end. I don't understand why it's happening.
That's interesting. And do you think that other apps like Soundflower don't do that?
I don't know. I feel like none of the apps do it. I think something happens when it's streaming. I think something happens in that road, because I also did tests where I did it internally and that didn't happen.
That is crazy.
So I think something just happens mid-transport.
That is crazy. Okay, so I can explain something that is kind of interesting, and it took me a while to figure this out. I had to go to the GitHub projects for Black Hole and Soundflower and look through the history to figure this out, because I was trying to decide myself between Soundflower and Black Hole. Soundflower has been around forever, and Black Hole is the new kid on the block. they seem to do more or less the same, so why would I choose one over the other? And I learned that they work in different ways. Soundflower, the older one and more popular, it works by, it has a kernel extension. So it goes in deep into the operating system and changes, it extends the way that the kernel works. While Black Hole is using newer technology, it's not extending the kernel. The kernel, if you have never heard of this term, is like the core thing in the operating system. It's the thing that when you load up the computer, that's the first thing that it's going to run, and it's going to run until you turn off the computer, and it takes care of very important things like network connections, Bluetooth, talking to a display, getting audio from a microphone. All these sorts of things are in the kernel. And Apple has been changing the infrastructure, and then eventually Soundflower breaks, and then someone comes along and patches it. But it has more or less been abandoned because the last chaperone of the project developed their own solution. It's called, I think it's called Loopback. It's by Rogue Amoeba. So they have their own product. It's a paid product. So I don't think they are putting a lot of love into Soundflower anymore. So it's more or less like, well, it works, and people in the community try to maintain it, but it has more or less been abandoned. And partly because of this architecture, it goes very deep into the operating system, and Apple is trying to cut back on these APIs. It's trying to make things simpler and more secure, because a kernel extension can, if it's not written correctly, can bring your whole system down. Because usually the thing that tries to prevent an application from messing things up is the kernel. But if you're extending the kernel, you have all the power to mess things up. And then there is this new extension API. It is not in the kernel. It is, to some extent, like a VST. It's like an audio plugin in digital audio workstation, but it works at the operating system level. So it shows up here instead of showing up at Reaper. And it does exactly the same. It's a way for you to plug virtual cables between apps, but it works on this different level. It's not a kernel extension. It is this sort of audio plugin for the operating system. It's HAL. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's a different technology. So that's the main difference between the two. And what they were supposed to be doing is just forward the samples from one app to another. So maybe, especially because you couldn't hear the artifact when you were running this locally, so maybe the problem was some kind of mismatch between the samples delivered by Black Hole, which is using this specific format, and whatever format mangling that the streaming application was doing. Because this is coming in as 48 kilohertz and 32-bit float, and no one is going to use 2-channel 32-bit float for streaming. That's too high of a quality. So usually you go down to 24 or maybe 16-bit. And in that process of downsampling, maybe that's what was introducing that problem. But maybe not, because you tried with other apps and that didn't happen. So I don't know. I cannot really explain it. But I thought it was interesting to share this anecdote. And I don't think I am the only person who thought, well, if there are these two apps and they kind of do the same, which one should I choose?
Right, for sure, yeah. Even John had a video, John Tidy of the Reaper blog recently did a video on another one of these that I don't remember. And when he was showing it, I was like, okay, this is awesome and I should get this. But at the same time, like, because my system is working, I like didn't get into it. But that's another thing to look into. And it may be the loopback, but I think what he showed was free. So maybe it's not loopback. So, okay. And because what I do when I stream is I make an aggregate device, but you're not making an aggregate device?
No, I'm
right
not.
Now.
So I'm going to explain how this works. I am using an aggregate device on the other computer when I'm streaming, but let's not go into that right now. So the way that I'm working with this right now is in fact, now that I think about it, I think I will need an aggregate device. So let's work through this. But before I do, I would like to see you. So I know that Skype is able to put a thumbnail somewhere.
I have one. If I minimize my Skype, a thing with you pops up on my screen automatically.
Oh,
In
no,
Mac.
it doesn't happen for me. Do you know why that could be?
Oh, that's weird.
Maybe
No
I should go
idea.
like to window. No.
Maybe appearance, setting, appearance. Boop, boop, boop. Nope.
And I cannot even say that I want this to always be on top.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it happens automatically. So maybe just a setting that you need to tick, but I'm not seeing something yet. Calling.
Grid view together.
Oh, show call window. So go to settings, calling, and show call window when Skype is in the background.
Where is it again?
In settings and then in calling for some reason.
Show call window when Skype is in the background. I have that enabled.
Yeah. Oh, you have that enabled, so then I really don't know why it doesn't happen. Unless you maybe accidentally moved it like to a corner of your screen or something, because I always just move it to the very bottom right corner, so it doesn't show up. Because I also have one screen, and I share the whole screen when I stream, so I just kind of tuck it on in the corner.
Yeah, I wanted to do that with that screen. Share screen, take snapshot. You know what? Maybe I just need to turn this off and on again. We'll see. I'll call you back.
Okay.
And meanwhile, the stream can still see me trying to do that. Hello. And no, I don't have any window here that I can play with. No, I just have this big.
Minimize that main window.
Oh, there you
No,
go.
Nothing popped
now
up.
I have
okay,
something.
Cool.
Now I have something.
Okay,
but you still have to monitor the chat for me if you can, because I put you here on the corner where my face probably is, or your face is. But you have to monitor the chat.
I'll keep an eye on the chat.
So yeah, the way that this works right now is I am going to go to sound preferences. And my input and output are both my audio interface. So that much is easy. Then in Reaper, I think that I have just the default thing. So audio is coming in and out of Reaper from the audio interface. But what I would like to happen is for this to go to Black Hole. And then in OBS, I will have to get the audio from Black Hole so that the stream can hear that, right? So I guess I need to put a new audio capture thing.
I think you need an audio input capture, no?
Not really. An audio input is a microphone.
Oh, hold on. This is something that always confuses me because I'm using Black Hole right now to stream to you. And for me, it is an input capture. So, because the thing that both Soundflower and Black Hole doing is that they have, Black Hole, for example, has a 16-channel version. It has 16 ins, 16 outs. They are all serial connected to each other. So if you put something, if you put something like in Ableton or in another app, you send it to outputs 3 and 4. You can come to Reaper and toggle monitoring for input 3 and 4, and you will hear the same sound. So I always, maybe, do you want me to show you quickly my setup?
Yes, we can do that. I guess the easiest way is for me to switch to this view where I have this. And then if you send me the video using
I'm sharing my screen now.
Okay, so I guess I will need to change your source.
Yeah, I think on the NDI source you can choose the screen that you're viewing as well.
And they are all very. Oh, shared screen. I was gonna say that they are all named like with random numbers, but there is an actual name here for me to select.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so what I'm doing, and this is like my simple setup, I have like a bunch of aggregate devices. But the one that I'm using right now that is named Creatively Aggregate Device, I have my L12 interface, and then I have Black Hole 16 channel, and I have you select this one first, and then you select this one second, and that makes it so that my outputs on my Zoom interface come first, and then the outputs of Black Hole come next. So if I basically I'm in any project and I just change my interface to the old aggregate device, it will still work. Everything will still come out of input one and output 1 and 2, and everything that I have connected to my interface will still come out the same side. My interface is also nice because it has a route back option on itself. So from channel 9 and 10, I'm also receiving the output of my entire interface and monitoring it through that, which is really nice. Then on my master track, I'm sending this to my headphones and speakers to my output 1 and 2. And then I have another hardware output, and that goes to output 1 and output 2 of Black Hole. And then that sound arrives at input 1 and 2 of Black Hole in OBS. So like the sound is being sent to the output is plugged into the input. So then the input comes in through here.
Okay, I think I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have that loop back thing on my audio interface, but we should be able to recreate this, I think.
So your headphones right now, they're connected to your Zoom H5, yes. Right? Yeah, so I think with like if you make an aggregate device and then you just add your Black Hole as the second device there, then your project will run the same way. You just add a hardware output on your master track, and then everything will go through that as well.
Okay. Let's try to recreate this step by step. First, I will get back to your face as opposed to your computer. There you go.
Sure.
And now we can try to recreate this. So what is the first step?
So go to audio MIDI setup on your computer, and make that aggregate device. And choose H5
I will call this the crazy audio setup. I will never be able to understand. I mean, I will probably have to draw a diagram of everything that is going on here because it's freaking complicated. At least it is to me. So you said that I should select the H5 first, right?
Yeah.
I'm interested to know if this has come up with, but I was reading through issues on the Black Hole repository, and I was trying to understand why they say that when they create an audio device, you must select your computer. So in my case, I have a Mac Mini. It would be the Mac Mini speakers first. They say that you have to select that first. And I asked why they had that recommendation. And the person who created Black Hole answered saying that sometimes macOS messes things up if your first audio source, audio device, has more than two channels. And my Zoom has 4 channels. Yours has even more, right? It's like.
By the way, sorry. A big emergency is that on your OBS you should turn off that output device that you added, because it's causing weirdness.
Okay. I thought I had muted it. But is it causing craziness on the stream?
Yet Roshan says that it is causing some echo. Thanks, Roshan, for the heads up.
Oh, so the problem is I have two of them. I thought I had everything muted, but I didn't. I had two instances, one of which was muted. So now the stream should be okay. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, sorry. So they were saying that if you don't use Mac Mini speakers, what can happen?
So the person in the repository just said that something would go wrong. I don't remember exactly what would go wrong if the original source, the first source, was not stereo. I don't think it had to do anything with drift or timing of the sources. It had nothing to do with the clock. I think that it just literally messed things up and it would make like random noises. But I forget. I mean, it shouldn't be too hard to go to the black hole repository and find my own question there.
I mean, we could also just make an aggregate device of all three of them, and you know, if there's an issue, then we'll find out.
Oh, come on! I asked the question here.
Because, you know, maybe that's why I'm having some weirdness happen. Maybe it's looking for Liafak as a text instead of as your username.
Clear current filters.
Maybe something like Mac speakers input device, something like that. That was in your test.
I can do a search like this, and the issue is no longer open. It's closed. Okay, there you go. So this is what the developer of Black Hole said. The issue is that multiple outputs and aggregates don't work if the primary device has more than two channels. Making sure that built-in output/input first. Okay, yeah. So person just said that it doesn't work, and it's definitely a problem with multi-outputs. But you don't use that. You use aggregates, right?
Yeah. So, but because this now makes me wonder, maybe the issue that I was having was that, because then I switched to Soundflower, and interesting, very interesting. I also don't know if the dude was trying to, like, if he was answering assuming that you have like next to no knowledge about audio. You know what I mean? Like, you can answer things very simply for somebody who doesn't have interfaces and stuff, or you could get into it.
I mean, if you are asking a question on GitHub and you picked up on an inconsistency between the text and the image in the documentation, I think the person can assume that they don't need to talk down to you, but they explained that it just doesn't work. But then again, this was in October last year, and they said that they submitted a bug report to Apple, so maybe it's fixed already. So who knows? Maybe we can do the thing that you just explained, or maybe it would cause issues. But
let's use all three. Let's make the aggregate device with all three. So choose your Mac Mini speakers first, then choose
So I guess the first thing I have to do is to lower the
choose
volume of the Mac Mini speakers, because when I do this aggregate device, I won't be able to switch the levels of the different inputs using my keyboard as I usually do. I will have to come here and change the volume. So that's what I just did. So I muted the Mac Mini speakers, and I'm putting them in the aggregate device just to work around whatever issues may exist. And then I will put my, I guess I will do H5 and then black hole. And I think it's smart to always enable drift correction. That's what I read in the docs for black hole.
Right, yeah, and I do that as well.
Can you briefly explain what drift correction even is?
I think from what I understand is, you know how like in Reaper you can't see this value, but for example in Ableton, when you switch your interfaces, it would tell you how much latency there is. Reaper calculates it, but I don't know if it displays it anywhere. And it probably does. But anyway, so if those are different for different devices, so for example, my Zoom L12 at 48K 24-bit with buffer size of 256 has 5 milliseconds. And then if I do all the same settings and choose black hole, it will be a smaller number. So I think drift correction just finds an intermediate value and puts them all at that value, or maybe puts it at the highest value for all of them, so that if you're like, because if you could link two interfaces and actually record through them, which I did do once. I had this, which has 8 inputs, and then I had a 2-input interface. And I made an aggregate device and I recorded drums plus piano on it. I had the drift correction on, and yeah, seemed to work fine.
Do you think that introduces latency?
It may.
Okay.
Yeah. You can always like come and change that if we saw that it's causing an issue, or we can even find out this aggregate device as a whole. We can find out how much latency it's causing and then deal with that.
Okay, so now I have my crazy audio setup aggregate device, and it has all the inputs and outputs that I care about.
Yeah, and actually don't close that window yet. Actually make that window bigger, because you see your input channels, and just let's also see your output channels as well. Oh no, not like zooming, but expand that black window in the middle. Yeah. So you got yourself 6 outputs, and outputs 1 and 2 are your speakers now. 3, 4 are your H5, and then 5, 6 are your black hole. So now in Reaper, when you select your device, you will select the crazy audio setup.
Which I think for that to show up, I think I need to close and reopen this.
Yeah, exactly. And then let's maybe bring down your block size to 256. Just because we're about to record, we may even adjust this in a second. Okay. And now, so on your master track, so you can press Command Option M and bring your master track up, and go to routing. And so now you're sending to 1 and 2 of your Mac Mini speakers. You can even keep it there if you want, but you can add new hardware output. Yeah, and you want 1 to go to 3 and 4, and you want 1 to go to 5 and 6.
This one. Alrighty.
Yeah.
So
now that you do that, now play your track that you just recorded, and you should have output on OBS, and you should hear it from your H5 as well.
Okay. Couple things to note. I have some crazy stuff happening here in OBS as well, so I need, I think, to take care of that before I blow things up again. So
maybe do what I do. So what I have on OBS is my black hole 1 and 2 as an input capture device.
No, but never mind that. I had, before we started the stream, I had some crazy setup here. So I have this thing that is under advanced, that is a monitoring device that is black hole. And that means that when I enable monitoring, which is something that is enabled right now, it will go to black hole. And I used that so that when I had my 2 computers set up, people on Skype like you, I feed you the audio coming from black hole. And this way, you are hearing whatever OBS is hearing, except, and that is where you sneeze into your call, except that when the inputs are not even here, they don't even show up because you are on a different scene, people they are still monitoring. Yes.
So what I do for that is I have yet another virtual device called VB cable, and that is my monitoring device in OBS, and that's what I'm sending. So on OBS, I'm summing. Well, right now I'm just sending to you the black hole. I'm monitoring via my own Zoom, and then my monitoring device on OBS is VB cable, and that's sending to Skype. So on Skype, you are monitoring my black
Mm-hmm.
hole, um, and yeah, and then on the stream side, I am just um, recording on the. So yeah, so basically, what I'm using for Skype is its own separate monitoring system that I don't use anywhere else and nowhere in my audio
Yeah, I
devices.
don't have that, but now the problem
Mm-hmm.
now is that I'm using this virtual audio cable. I'm using Black Hole to communicate between Reaper and OBS. But I will also need
Mm-hmm.
to communicate. I will also need the same black hole to communicate between OBS and Skype. But the problem is that
Mm-hmm.
if I feed all the signals into the same thing, it's gonna blow up. So,
Mm-hmm.
what if I make all my inputs, everything I care about, will be on
Mm-hmm.
Reaper.
Yeah.
So I will put another track here that monitors my microphone, and I will enable monitoring. Uh, so right now this is duplicating somehow. Is it? I'm not sure if it's duplicating.
Yeah, I'm hearing an echo of your
Oh man,
voice. Yeah.
I was thinking that maybe what we could do was to route everything into Reaper and then use Reaper to send to Black Hole, and Black Hole would send to both OBS and you.
Uh-huh. Well, that should be
Yeah,
possible.
I guess all we have to do is set up all my inputs.
You just gotta go to OBS and turn off the input from H5
But there
in
is something
OBS.
crucial that I have to do here in OBS. And that is, I have this setup where the monitoring of OBS goes to Black Hole. And that cannot happen because otherwise there will be a loop.
Right.
So I'll disable this monitoring device stuff. Or actually, I don't need to change that. Oh, now I hear an echo of myself.
Now we don't hear you, just FYI, or I don't hear you. Maybe the chat still hears you, but I'm assuming it's temporary and you'll get her done in a second.
The stream can hear me and you cannot, Arya. I will fix this in a second. Hang on, hang in there. I know you don't hear me, but hang in there. And now we should be back. Okay, so
Yep, you're back.
what I just did now is I disabled monitoring in OBS, and I think that the stream was able to hear me all along.
Oh, interesting.
But
Okay.
what I did is I disabled monitoring in OBS, and now when I did that, OBS was not sending to Black Hole, so you were not hearing it. Now, let's figure out how I can do this part. So now, this should be sending to Black Hole. But Black Hole is nowhere to be found here in these settings. But if I now change you, and you can see me doing this, right? Oh, no, you cannot. It seems like I'm on the wrong screen.
I see your OBS.
There you go. Now here. So this, if I change this to Black Hole, now you should still be able to hear me. You are hearing the same thing that the stream is hearing. Oh, not quite, actually. You're hearing Black Hole. Now let's make the stream hear Black Hole as well. So for that, you say that we need an audio input, not an audio output.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll delete this one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable my microphone. And I'm going to enable the audio input capture. Okay, so I just did that, and you can still hear me because I see the meters here, and the stream can still hear me. But now that is going through Reaper, which means that when I, for instance, mute this, you don't hear me. And when I bring it back, you hear me again. And when I play something, everyone hears that. Oh, okay. That is a crazy audio sound.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. And you should see my other aggregate devices because I have three devices and two of them are virtual. And but what it lets me do is like I'm writing I just realized like why have I abandoned years of making presets in Ableton and just starting from scratch? So now I just have a lot of synths in Ableton that I send MIDI out from Reaper because I can't stand MIDI editing in Ableton, and then I send MIDI to it, and then I receive audio back from it into Reaper,
You
and
have a
it's
video
very
about this,
fun.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Now everyone hears what is happening on Reaper. I think we nailed this, right?
yeah. I think one last thing to do is on track 2, right-click on the record arm and make that input monitoring only, so that oh no, not that one, on the record arm itself. So make that on, and then right-click
Can I change this?
and go this. You can set it to record disable input monitoring only, and then that way when you are and that way when you're recording the other track, you can keep this track armed, but no audio
Oh, I
will be
didn't know you
written.
could do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So that's your talk
yes,
back.
and I can hear an echo of myself, right? You all don't hear two of myself, but I hear two of myself because, well, actually, I hear like three of myself. First, I hear, I
Oh
hear
shit.
myself speaking physically without any technology.
Mm-hmm.
On the Zoom, I hear, and I don't think there is a way for me to disable here, to disable this here, but I hear myself, and that's usually how I monitor myself in when I'm doing any kind of recording. So I'm hearing myself through the Zoom, and that is just something. If you plug a headphones into the Zoom, you will hear whatever it's recording. That's just how it works. Then, so that's two of myself. Then I hear the third Leandro via Black Hole because of this routing thing. This, or actually this thing, which is necessary.
Right.
Otherwise, I wouldn't hear when I do this, right? So I don't think there is a way around this,
Yeah.
right?
Well, okay, so what if you now plugged your headphones just to your computer and then monitor from output 1 and 2?
Oh yeah, I could do that, but it's too far and the cable doesn't reach. But I'm completely fine
It's
because the
too far.
latency is
Okay.
not too bad. So what I hear is like,
Right.
I guess coming back to what we were talking about yesterday, or in the all our streams on your channel, I kind of hear a difference in quality in my voice because the delay is so short.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If it throws me
Absolutely,
off when
yeah.
I'm playing, I can do something else.
There must be a way on Zoom, like somewhere to disable input monitoring on the inputs. There's like I know Zooms have a lot of menu diving, but then somewhere deep in there
Yeah,
should
but
be
I'm
something.
not worried about this right now. Okay, so I guess we are ready to record this. So
Let's
I
rock and
guess
roll.
my next question for you is, how do you feel about the grid? I have some experience playing the guitar by myself in the corner, but I have little to no experience playing to a click. And when I tried it, I couldn't really get in there. I couldn't really play well. And at the same time, if I don't play to a click, then I know that I'm kind of limiting myself in the kinds of options of things that I can do. But I looked up online, and some people were in favor of always playing to a click track, and some people prefer to sometimes disable the click track. How do you feel about it?
So I'm in favor of doing so. Okay, I'll answer this in the form of an anecdote. And this is not my anecdote, but actually it is reflected in my own life experience as well. There's this band called At the Drive-In, and then later they became the Mars Volta. I don't know if you know them. And their first album was not very successful. With the second album, they got a new producer, and the producer went to one of their shows, and they were awesome. So he got them into the studio, and they sucked. And basically, the issue was like these dudes have been playing together like for years and years, never once using a click. So suddenly, the day of the studio, they're using a click. They don't use it in their shows. The part of what makes At the Driving awesome is that they are a live band. They were very good live, and that's how they got to work with a big producer, and later like John Frusciante and stuff. So basically, the producer was like, "We're not using a click if the performance that I fell in love with you guys was not done to a click, we won't use a click." So they didn't use a click. And the good thing with Reaper is you can actually play without a click, and then you can move the grid to be to the beat of your performance. So I'm 100%, not 100%, I'm 90% in favor of not using a click if you're not used to a click, because again, to me, performance is more tied to the content of what you're doing and saying. And if the performer is having fun and loving what they're doing, it's a lot more important than them
Okay.
being on grid. Yeah, so if you're not used to
I
it,
turned
don't use
it
it.
off. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess next we have to talk about microphone choices and placement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you think I should do to the room?
Well, let's work with the room we have. So I guess what we are doing today, this is like a little bit like the pre-production phase of a recording, right? So, I guess one of the questions that ultimately dictates a lot of our decisions with mics and placement is kind of looking ahead towards the arrangement of the song. So I'll give you an example for acoustic guitar. If I'm recording an acoustic guitar for a song that I know will have bass and drums on it, I will mic it differently than if I'm recording a solo acoustic guitar and a singer performance. So which is this song, do
Uh,
you think?
Ideally, I have not written these parts, and we
Mm-hmm.
would need to do some, I guess, arrangement together. But what I would like to try to do,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not in this session, definitely not in this session, but maybe in a future one, is to do some kind of percussion. But I don't have any percussive instruments,
Uh-huh. Cool.
and I'm really into people like Andrew Huang and I guess Jacob Collier to some extent, who use stuff they find around the house. So maybe we could do some percussion on the guitar itself, on the body of the guitar, or I could find some Tupperware that
Fun.
sounds nice, something like that. So
Fun. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have a full arrangement in my head. I have not written parts for percussion.
Mm-hmm.
I have not written anything besides what you heard before. But I think it could be fun to do
Mm-hmm.
um, some kind of percussion using Foley essentially, and you do that kind of recording. So you would be able to teach me that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm. So a couple of very important things are being said in the chat too. Bops NY says I usually run a drum track, and that's a great idea. So yeah, like if you have a beat, if your song has some drums, write scratch drums, and that would still be a million times better than a click track. Because a click track is just, I don't know, I'm not a huge fan, even though I do use it in my performances. And yeah, so Bob Samway is also used to a click. So I guess that's kind of the ultimate answer. Like, if your band always practices to a click, they should go to the studio and record to a click. If your band gets in a room and plays and they love the way they sound, that sound will definitely be hurt by introducing a click the day of the recording, or maybe practicing a week to a click and then going to the studio. To me, it's like you develop your craft through the years. So whatever you do through the years, try to recreate it in a
awesome,
studio.
yeah, and that's something I actually tried. I played to literally a click, and that was terrible. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't hear the click very well, and I cranked up the volume of the click, but then it just didn't work. Then I tried
Yeah.
I was using something like GarageBand, and it just dropped a virtual drummer in the track. That was better because I am used to
Mm-hmm.
playing not too much. Usually I play by myself in the corner, but I can play with other people, and I'm more used to playing along with a song. That makes more sense to me. I don't usually do the thing where you
Absolutely.
put a record on or some kind of backing track for practicing and you play on top of that. I don't usually do that, but at least I do know how to play with other people. So playing to actual drums worked
Cool.
better.
For sure, 100%. Um, so, and yes, and Fotis and stuff is mentioning a few awesome bands that I love, like King Crimson. I was actually gonna go see King Crimson live last Friday and then canceled it because of COVID, and I'm furious about that. um, so yeah, so I guess I was asking what the final arrangement will be because of we want to kind of think about how full of a acoustic guitar sound we want to capture. So, for example, if there's going to be other sounds in there, then we don't want to go for the fullest possible sound of the guitar. Whereas if I'm recording somebody like play a Bach on their acoustic guitar and it's a solo performance, then I really want to put a bunch of mics on the acoustic guitar. In this case, let's then go for something with the knowledge and hope that we will later fill the low end with a few other
Yeah.
elements. What do
So
you
one thing
think?
that I would like to avoid is MIDI instruments. So I'm all in favor of something I actually did before to record my acoustic guitar and I played it differently, and then I put everything on an octave or pedal to make it sound like a bass guitar. And I'm not gonna say that this is the best sound for a bass guitar, but I find it more pleasing than some kind of MIDI. And I don't play keys very well, so I would either have to draw the MIDI or I would have to try to play something, but I suck at it. I even sold all my MIDI controllers. They were just bringing me grief. I don't know how to play them. So
Okay. Yeah, no MIDI is totally okay. And I guess for the bass, we can also talk about it on a future stream. We can maybe I can play bass for you, and that will be fun. Or I'll show you my 96K bass recording technique, which I really like, which is basically you play a bass line in double time in 96K, you set the play rate to zero point 0.5, and you got yourself a really nice sounding bass out of a guitar.
yeah, that's
Um,
that's that's what I want
so we
to
can
do.
try both of them.
So ideally, I would play with no MIDI. I
Cool.
would record everything, and I'm all in favor of warping the sounds, making them sound crazy. I'm all in for that. We're gonna do Foley. We can even change the guitar performance to make it crazier. I have this idea
Sure.
that I don't actually heard anyone doing, but I think it may sound cool to have some effects like even simple things like stutter on a acoustic guitar. It will sound at the same time organic but robotic. I find that may work. I have never tried it, so it's something we may want to try.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't want to put
Fun.
anything that is a VST instrument. I want to try to do everything with the sounds that we capture.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, so basically, I'll tell you. So I went last night and I dug through my old recording notes that I've gotten from school, and I'll send these to you if you want as well. And yeah, so when it comes to the acoustic guitar, do you know what part a mic is trying to kind of avoid a little bit?
Here's what I know.
Okay.
I do know that if you put a microphone on this part of the guitar, it will sound bassier, while this is more of the treble or the mid range. And well, other things that I know have to do with microphone placement for stereo, and I'm not even sure that we are gonna go for that because, as you said, there will be more things in the arrangement. So I know things
Right.
like you have to put the microphones far apart so that they don't do any phase cancellation, that sort of thing. That's the extent of my knowledge, so teach me everything else.
Cool. Cool. So basically the sound hole is your biggest culprit when it comes to placing your mic. In that the sound hole usually resonates, and your guitar may be smaller, but the sound hole usually resonates somewhere within 80 to 110 hertz. So that's something we really want to avoid, especially so when we are putting instruments in that frequency region. So what we want to do, ideally, the ideal recording, let me bring this up, is with we tested this like with maybe 16 or 17 mics, and what was like voted the best sound was using a KM 184 pointing 6 inches away towards the fret 12 of the acoustic guitar. That's what we thought to be like kind of the best sounding setup. But you don't have a KM 184, and you have a boom, or sorry, like a shotgun mic, and that would be an interesting thing to try. Usually we're going with acoustic for small diaphragm mics, because of how much of the low end they roll off naturally, just without doing anything else. And that's always better to like record it how you like to hear it. And, this is one of those things, tangent time, sorry. You know that mic by Steven Slate, I think it is, and they're basically their shtick is like, buy this mic and then we'll give you a plugin, and this plugin will apply the frequency response of different microphones to your sound, right?
Not
Have you heard
really.
of this mic? Okay. So it's a good mic. It's not a bad mic. It's very expensive, and it's a very flat sounding mic, and that's all nice. But I reject the idea that simply applying an EQ to mimic the frequency response of a sound would result in the sound of that other microphone. Because that other microphone, by the very design of how it responded to different frequencies, picked up a different frequency profile, versus if you use a flat mic, then you pick up a different frequency profile and then you apply EQ to that, which is not the
Yeah, and
same
also there
to
is
me.
all the. We talked about
Um,
this last time, how the construction of the microphone helps reject noise, for instance. So if you have a microphone that is like this
mhm,
one, and I'm speaking through it right now, so you won't be able to hear me very well, but it has all these
mhm,
holes on the side to help reduce noise coming from the sides and from behind. So if
mhm.
you have a microphone that doesn't have this same structure, it will pick up sounds from the sides, from behind, and yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't buy that microphone.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, yeah, and on its own, I think it's a pretty decent mic for $800. But what they are claiming it does is more aimed at people who are looking for like one mic to buy for their entire lives, which is totally a valid thing to do as well. Not everybody likes to buy, not everybody likes to spend like 20% of their income on microphones, and that's fair
But
enough.
that's not me. I do
So
spend.
to kind of get, yeah, yeah. But so yeah, so I would say, and obviously you don't have a
Yeah, so for people who are
KM184.
joining us now, I can
We are
show what I do have. So I do have this little
sure.
microphone here. It comes with the Zoom, yeah, H5. It is a little stereo microphone. It is on this XY position, and it does not
Mm-hmm.
change. So I know that the fancier H6 comes with a different kind of XY microphone that you can like twist around, and it goes from, I guess, 120 degrees to 90 degrees or something like that. But this one is fixed, I think, at 90 degrees. So that's the width of the stereo image that I can capture with this one. This is a stereo microphone. It comes with the Zoom H5. And then I bought this other microphone. It's another attachment for the H5. It's a shotgun mic. It's the microphone that you hear right now. And I bought this for streaming. But I would be interested to know
Mm-hmm.
how it works on guitar. I think that the marketing page for this microphone has people recording guitars. So that's that. Then
Mm-hmm.
I also have a bunch of cheap lav mics that they suck. I don't think they would work for this situation.
Mm-hmm. No, they wouldn't work for us. They could be fun to record some crazy percussive elements, so we will experiment with them next time. Um, what my instinct says to start with is we point the shotgun towards your fret 12, and then we point, it's far from the ideal mic, but we point your SM kind of like, well, maybe even actually, why not? Let's just record with the shotgun. But last time we didn't point it like super accurately. This time we can try to point it
Oh, and yeah,
more
and so
accurately.
yeah, you already mentioned this,
So,
but yeah, that's the final one. I do have two SM58s, and I bought those
mhm,
for podcasting because I record with my wife, so we need two microphones, and our environment is not as quiet. It's not even as quiet as this one, and now we even have the baby, so it's crazy. I found that these were the microphones that would reject noise the best, even better than
mhm,
everything else we were using before. So I bought two of these, and
mhm,
I know. Well, I heard. I don't know. I heard that if you have an SM58 and you take out
mhm,
this part, it pretty much becomes equivalent to
mhm.
an SM57, which is used to mic things like um, guitar amps, and you put it like directly
Mhm.
on the grill of the amp. So we can try to make this work as
Yep.
well without the grill. I tried it and I can kind of hear
Yeah,
a difference. I
absolutely.
think that with the grill, it takes some of the high end a bit. It takes a little bit of the high end off,
Mhm.
but it's just one of those things. Hard to tell.
Hmm.
It could be fun. So another thing we could
Yeah.
do is to try to record with two of these. We cannot record with the XY and the shotgun at the same time, but we can record with everything else at the same time.
Right.
So we could try to do that if you think it could
Cool.
be fun to maybe A/B something.
Sure. Yeah.
Is this something
Sure.
that you usually do? Like
Um.
when you are recording something, you record with two microphones just to A/B, or do you eventually find the one that you like you mentioned, and you just use that, and that's that?
Something I like to do, and again, this is if I'm in a studio. If I'm in a studio, I usually have like a go-to mic for everything, but I don't know who I picked up this tip from. I don't remember, but somebody told me, and I loved the idea. They were like, for every recording, do one thing weird, because you'll never know. So maybe you have a mic drum setup that you really like. Every time you do the recording, do something that you wouldn't do. Do something that doesn't make sense. Put a SM58 on your kick. It may suck. It'll probably suck. But if you do this 10 times on 10 sessions, you will find two really good ideas with it. So I think to an extent, like you should have, you should do some homework and do some A/Bing, which is what we're doing, and then later you'll develop a go-to, and your subsequent recordings would be a lot faster. But at the same time, it's always fun if you have the extra input to just, yeah, to do something weird. And if it's weird, delete, super easy. Non-destructive audio. We don't use tape. Zero downside
Yeah.
to doing it, you
Okay.
know?
So how about we do this with both the shotgun and one of these guys? Maybe not the two of them, right? And I think we are
Yeah,
going
just
for
one,
a
yeah.
mono recording anyway, so
Exactly. So we can blend them even together, but we'll A/B them and we'll
yeah.
see what's what.
And what about the pop
So
filter? Do you think
yeah,
I
so
should take it
basically,
out or and then use it like an SM57 of sorts, or do you think I should leave it on, or it doesn't matter?
well, so I think, yeah, if the grill is rolling off a minimum amount of high end, we are probably going to use the shotgun for high end stuff anyway. So we will probably roll off even more high end from the SM. So
Okay.
let's keep the grill on.
And besides just the grill,
Yeah.
when I bought the SM58, I thought it sounded okay and it rejected a lot of noise, so that made me happy, but it would pop a lot. And in this grill, there is a little bit of foam
Uh-huh.
in here, so it was supposed to be a filter of
Uh-huh.
sorts, but it sucks. So I bought this as well. And it
Mm-hmm.
improves things for pops when you're talking on the microphone. But we're not talking on the
Mm-hmm.
microphone. Do you think I should put this on or not? On my experience, in
No,
my experience,
no.
this takes even more of the high ends.
Mm-hmm. So actually then if that's the case, let's pop
Okay,
that baby on. Why not?
so next we need to
Yeah.
position this, and for that I need to do a bit of shenanigans with OBS. So what I'm gonna do right now is I am going to
Sure.
switch to a camera in which you can see me moving around the room, because the camera that you see right now is fixed. It's
Mm-hmm.
on a tripod. And we'll talk about...
Sure. While you do that, I'll
Okay,
go get some water,
okay.
and I'll be right
And
back.
while I do that, you won't be able to hear me because the audio is wrong. The setup is now going through... It needs to go through black hole. So I'll do... And there you go. So now you should be able to hear me and see this camera. And we can talk about microphone placement. So you kind of already know my space. It is this
Mm-hmm.
fort with moving blankets.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my desk. Where
Mm-hmm.
should I be?
So the back panel that's behind you, is it like hollow? What's it made of?
It is the top part of a bed frame, so it is
Okay.
just like, you can imagine it's like a piece of cardboard with a bit of foam, but just this thick.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking let's like kind of get up against that and then because I know that things sound really awesome, right? If your back is to a mattress, but if that's hard logistically to place yourself there, let's give this a go and it'll probably sound okay.
Yeah, I don't think I have the cable length to go to the mattress.
Yeah, so let's try this. It'll probably be fine.
And I positioned myself. What about the mics? What do I do with them? Where do I put them?
Okay. So first, I guess, and this is kind of the challenge that I was imagining. You're now the performer as well as the engineer. So normally what happens is you ask the performer to sit in a style that is comfortable for them, and then as the engineer, you start placing the mic. Right now, we need to kind of you need to first hold your guitar and sit down where you're comfortable, and we need to kind of remember your position
Yeah,
for a
when I am
second.
doing this, when I'm not that camera, when I'm doing this camera, yeah. So when I'm doing this camera over here, the way I focus, I'm by myself. So the way I focus is usually, I I put my hand, and then
Uh-huh.
I twist the wheel, and I see if my hand is in focus, and it's common for me to stream out of focus. It happens, and I guess we're gonna do something similar now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to have a stand-in. Sometimes I get my partner to sit in my spot and like hold the guitar or whatever, but yeah, let's just kind of like try to imagine where your sound hole will be and make a mental note of it.
Oh no! It seems like that feed disconnected, so you still hear me, but you don't see this other camera I
Your
have.
video froze. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, it came back.
Oh, okay.
But it sucks, right? This camera sucks, and the encoding is also all messed up. Okay, so yeah, another thing that I usually run into when I am playing is, or when I'm trying to record, which is not often, but the headphones bang on stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So that's something I need to watch out
Um,
for, because if I move just the slightest, the headphone goes against the body of the guitar.
what I do, and we can do this with you as well, is my cable is here, and then when I'm recording, my cable goes around my back, and then I sit like this. So the cable goes around my back. I don't know if you have the length to do that. Can it wrap around your?
Well, it all depends on what I'm gonna do with the microphone.
Uh-huh. This is guerrilla recording, so we are, everything is gonna be kind of patched, which I really love. I think that's real art, man. So yeah, like, but could it go kind of like, or could it go under your shirt and then to your ears?
Yeah, sure. I just have to
Okay, I
remember
think
not to
that would
move
work.
around the room, or I'll drop the whole thing. But yeah, that's actually a good idea. Haven't thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, I don't hear you, Arya, but just hang in there.
Oh yeah, Bob's NY said that as well. Also, pro tip for anybody who goes to studios, wear like straight up sweatpants. I so many times I had people like back when studios were a thing and COVID wasn't, like people show up to the studio wearing like vinyl pants that look awesome, but then their entire recording is like so, I've made people take their pants off because I'm like, dude, you want a good recording or do you want to look good?
And that brings us back to the other conversation we were having. You have to be comfortable. So usually when you play guitar,
Yeah.
are you naked? If so, then go ahead to the studio and play naked.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not wearing vinyl.
Cool. Okay. That should be fine.
Should be fine. And also, you said that the chair needs to be relatively silent, and I think that this one is. But if it's not, then I have some other chair that I can use. I think it will be fine.
Cool. No, it seems fine. Yeah. If you like intentionally wiggle it and it doesn't make a sound, mostly like gaming chairs and stuff, they just have so many moving parts, they're going to make a sound. Yeah, but that should be fine. And yeah, so hold your guitar at a comfortable spot, and then you got to kind of make a mental note of where your fret 12 is.
Or I mean, I can reach everything from where I'm sitting, so
Oh, great. Okay.
I can move
So-
mics around while I'm holding the guitar. So yeah, that's usually how I would. The tip to you. I usually, when I'm running, I use the same headphones. It's the only pair of headphones I have, so I use it for everything. And I go out running, and I use it like this inside the shirt. But when I'm recording, I never thought of doing that. So yeah, that's silly of me.
It's the little tips.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you don't pick up just watching random YouTube videos. You have to watch random YouTube streams.
Oh, that's a good story. Fotis posted on the chat. I love talking about recording because all these cool stories pop up.
Yeah, I don't have the chat open. You have to relay that to me.
Yeah. Fotis says Al Jorgensen, I guess, convinced Fred Durst to take off all his clothes while recording, and then Fred got embarrassed when he realized he's being taken for a ride, and he left the studio. I once had to make this dude take off his pants because they were going as he was playing. Well, he was also playing a ukulele, so I guess a ukulele. Also, I don't know, driving the gains or whatever it was. I was just hearing like, and I was like, that's gotta go.
Okay, so that's usually how I play the guitar. I'm sitting like this.
Cool.
I usually don't lean against the chair, so I guess I can show how I'm sitting. I'm not leaning against the chair. I'm usually standing like this, and that's usually how I play the guitar.
Cool. So you want to let's point your shotgun mic towards not exactly your fret 12, because I think your neck is a little longer, towards basically the fret that's right up against your body. So that would be fret 13, 14, 15. Yeah,
14.
Fret 15, let's say.
Okay,
Yeah.
so around here, fret 15. Oh, By the way, for those who are watching and care about this kind of thing, this is Martin something something, which I really love. I love this microphone. It sounds awesome. It's the only microphone it's the only guitar I have, and I think it sounds great. It's a Martin something something. It's like M something, I think. If you know this stuff.
Yeah, Martin is awesome. I do like their guitars, and probably not, super expensive.
Yeah, I mean, it still is a lot of money, and it's hard to convince myself to spend that, but once I did, I really like the sound of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are aiming at. Oh, and I want to ask you something else about the process of recording. I tried to just clean slate. I know what the song is. I play the guitar, and then I sing separate takes. And I find it very hard because usually when I'm playing and I'm singing. So something I tried to do is to do a scratch track. I play and I sing at the same time, and then I have something, and then I go again and I do just the guitar and just the voice. Or sometimes I even put multiple microphones. Like I once I recorded with the XY pointing or in the direction of the guitar and an SM58, and I sang and I just did that, and that was the take. But how do you feel about this? Do you think that we should do just the guitar first, or do you think that we should do a scratch track first? How do you feel about that? I guess it's along the lines of should we use a click track or not, and so on.
Yeah. For bigger songs, what I do is I record twice completely from start to finish. So I make one recording of the song and I figure out a bunch of stuff, and then I do a for real recording. But in terms of scratch track, I guess we already kind of have your scratch track that we just recorded, like at the beginning when you were just showing me the song.
Yeah,
like
but
that
would
could also stand in.
But would that work? I mean, I was sloppy on timing, and I got, I guess, the lyrics wrong. And also, if we do some kind of percussion or something, then we may want to think about arrangement and think, oh, I probably want to play this part twice or something. So I don't think we can use that one just as it is. I mean,
yeah.
Maybe we can. I don't know.
I guess what we're doing right now is like, yeah, we're trying out mics. So we'll record everything and we'll get something out of it. Since we're doing without a click, you'll never really be able to like use that scratch track as you're recording other stuff. Maybe once we finalize it, we can then use it for percussive stuff. But as you're doing your acoustic guitar recording, like you shouldn't be hearing another track because that would probably throw you off more than it will help you in any way. Okay. And yeah, in terms of playing and singing together or separate, I weirdly think in this case, I'm feeling like we should do it separately. Just because I'm also imagining that since this is like a jingle for the beginning of the song, we're going to be boosting the hell out of your voice. So it's good to have an isolated version of that to work with.
Okay, so let me move this, and actually first I will move this so you can actually see what I'm doing.
Fotis said the guitar already sounds nice even from the stream. Yeah, I agree, right? And that's another important thing. It's like things sound good. Like things sound a lot better, and it's a lot like less complicated than sometimes we make it to be. Yeah.
Oh, I love making something that was supposed to be simple complicated.
Yeah, it's good. No, it's good. I think like we're learning a lot of things, and we're bringing up a lot of points that people wonder.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't exactly see like angle wise what you're doing, but distance wise, how far are you from the thing?
So I am about, well, I would say like 20 centimeters. And you are in Canada, you're not in the US, so I don't need to translate these 2 inches, which is awesome. So I'm about 25 centimeters away from the body of the guitar.
Okay.
And I'm aiming from above.
You want to be a little closer.
Okay.
Yeah, above is fine. I'm slightly concerned about your table, but again, it should be okay.
What is the concern?
Because right now, basically, your sound will also go out, hit your table, come back and hit the guitar, come back and hit the mic. So ideally, the table wouldn't be there, but you don't have, yeah, we don't have a big mic stand, so we'll just work with it.
Well, I brought some chairs. Do you think that having this propped on a chair will help?
Is the chair made of wood? What is it made of?
Well, it's made of wood, but it's not as big as a desk.
Yeah, let's give that a go. Let's give that a
Okay,
go.
so to be able to move around the room, I will need to unplug this, and then I won't hear you anymore. So I'll be right back. But you can still hear me, and you can
Okay.
talk to the chat.
Okay. Ooh, I'm getting a little
Oh,
feedback.
yeah, you are. I didn't know that the Zoom did this. Okay, so even if you have no headphones, it will try to play the sound through the speakers. You'll live, you'll learn.
Yeah, boo 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 boo. I saw something that in the chat that I was gonna address.
High quality content for YouTube.
Fotis
That's
said,
how you
"Me
make
too. I
stuff."
always make things complicated." Fotis, I always make things or I always make
Here's
things
a
not
chair.
complicated, and then people hate it. So there's always that. But I
Ooh,
enjoy
I
it.
actually had another idea right now, and I'm maybe speaking on top of you. I don't know because I don't hear you. But here is an idea. I could be sitting on the floor, and then I could prop this maybe on the guitar case or something. But if I'm sitting on the floor, I'm not in front of a big desk.
No, floor then, because then it's the floor that it will bounce off of and all of that.
Well, but
Um,
the floor is not hard floor.
oh, it's carpet.
Yeah.
Like I guess it goes back to if you are more comfortable because sitting on the floor playing the guitar is itself a whole other ball game, and that also brings your skull closer to the body of the guitar, so then your breathing and all that stuff will get on there. So I feel like chair is a little better.
Okay.
But up to you. If you think as a performer, because if the performer tells me I want to sit on the floor, then I
Well,
will work with that.
I play sitting on the floor, and I sit on the floor just fine. It doesn't bother me at all. It's something that I'm okay with. It wouldn't hurt. If you think that it sounds better for me in terms of comfort, it's the same. I don't really care.
Okay.
But I do
Sure,
have
we can do the floor.
I do have a chair though. So which one do you want to try? Chair, floor.
Yeah, let's go with the chair just because it'll be quicker. Let's try that and then we'll reevaluate.
Okay.
Bops NY, what is Zulo? I don't know that word.
I don't know that word either. But then again, I don't know what's happening in chat. Let's try not to break stuff. Okay. Then we have a cable situation going on here.
Cable situation.
Here we are.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay. So this is where we are at. Come on.
Bo says, is Leandro gonna port Air Windows stuff to JSFX? What's Air Windows? I don't know.
Oh, you really need to know about Air Windows. It is, I forget the name of the person, but it's this solo developer that puts out one new VST per week, more or less. It's like crazy.
Wow.
And it is super niche stuff. I mean, he has all these crazy ideas like, let's do, I guess one of his most famous plugins is a de-esser. So let's do a de-esser in this completely wacky way. Usually de-essing works by some sort of band compression. So you find the band where the S is happening and you apply some compression in that band. But he had some
Uh-huh.
other concepts for how to do de-essing. He looked at the shape of the samples as they came in, and he noticed that the S's have a particular shape, so he did that using the shape of the wave. And he I think he's doing that full time now. He had this Patreon thing going and he reached the goal that allowed him to work on this full time, and all his plugins are free.
Uh,
It's about one per week or something. Some of them are like gimmicks, some of them are kind of jokes, some of them are very useful, and they are all free. And I think that he streams every week too and answers questions and that sort of thing. So
Fun.
great guy.
I think Bo introduced me to this guy, and I had just forgotten the name, but then I saw the website and I remembered, and yeah, I'm gonna give him a sub. Sounds like my type of guy.
Yeah, and in terms of am I going to translate this to JSFX? Oh, not no, but probably the answer is probably no, because I'm not that knowledgeable. I did look at the source for his plugins to learn some DSP from him, to learn some of the theory from what he was doing, but I don't know that much to be able to recreate that in JSFX. Though it's not as hard as you would imagine because the languages are relatively similar. Now, what I think could be beneficial is to try to improve the user interface, because all his plugins, they are VSTs, they're not JSFX, but they just use sliders. They don't have any graphical user interface, and all the sliders are between 0 and 1. So it's very hard to tell what you have to watch the demo video and you have to experiment with the thing. So you have to put some effort into the plugin to actually get anything from it. So maybe if I wanted to contribute something, would be maybe to try to make the user interface more friendly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I am now. I need to put everything here to the side so that we can actually make everything fit. But now I am with a chair, and there is more space around. It's not like a table with a display, all hard surfaces.
So let's play me a nice ringy E minor loud. Okay. So do you hear that whoa 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 situation?
Do I need to hear it in the room or do I need to hear it on the headphones?
No, in the headphones.
Ah, okay. So probably for that I need to increase my own gain. How can I do that? Maybe if I just increase the gain here, just increase the
Sure.
volume on the Zoom. Okay, that is loud. No, actually, I don't hear any ringing. So what are we hearing here?
So I am picking up a little more sound hole that I would like to hear. And the trick to make that a little better is, so right now you're pointing towards you're pointing at your 12th fret. The sound hole is still maybe like like less than 90 degrees away from the tip of your mic. So maybe what we can do is have it face your sound hole and then angle toward your 12th fret. So that way it'll pick up a little less like direct sound from the sound hole. Because the sound hole, like, yeah, it just fills up so much low end that later we'll have some issues.
Okay, I was moving the cable so I would be able to do this. This is what you mean, right? I
Yeah,
should probably have put the chair the other way around. I'm going to rotate the chair so you can
sure,
actually see what's going on. And
sure.
I hear myself like crazy now because
Is it too
my
much?
volume is cranked up. No, it's just that, I mean, okay, this is better. So yeah, no, I think it's okay,
Okay, cool.
but I can hear myself breathe. Okay, so we were saying that we wanted to do something more like this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, to me already it sounds much better. And so if you want to, we can finesse the position still, but if you want to also use the SM, let's plug that in and also try to position that somewhere.
Okay. Oh, the other one is already plugged in. That's great. And then I had my makeshift. Oh, baby woke up.
Oh,
But that's okay. I don't think we will be actually able to record for real. I mean, we'll talk about all the pre-production stuff because I have to leave soon anyway.
okay, yeah.
Usually when baby wakes up, that's my time to go. So yeah, I have my makeshift mic stand that can also stand here, I guess. And then I can. Do we want to have more or less the same positioning?
Yeah, that could be fun. That could be fun for sure. Yeah, if we're like quote unquote A-being, then yeah, we want kind of to reduce all the other variables so that we can really just hear what the mic's doing, and then um, we can obviously like change that. Bob's and Weiss's just tape the 58 over the guitar joke. To be honest, Bobs, I have seen people record cellos that way. Taping an SM58, and actually not an SM58, but the Beta 58 by Shure to the bottom, and it sounds so nice. It's crazy.
I'm up for that. Okay, so the microphones are as close together as I can make them be.
Okay.
And
And obviously, you want the SM58 slightly closer because it's less sensitive. And then obviously there's the issue, yeah, and maybe slightly above, because yeah, slightly above would make a lot more sense to me, and then kind of angled further down.
but you don't hear the SM58, right? I mean,
I hear something bumpy, but that could just be it hitting the chair and then the chair hitting the mic. Yeah, I don't hear that. Now I'm hearing something.
that's odd. No, I don't see the input. Oh, that's because I am on the wrong knob.
Ah,
There you go. So now you should hear two of me from the two different microphones. But I don't think it will change what you hear, right?
no, not much. Like, yeah, not in any kind of insane amount. So yeah, maybe yeah, and obviously Bob says phase is an issue, and yeah, phase is an issue. Like if we're creating a stereo image, which we're not necessarily doing, we want to check we want to check for phase, which we will do after we record. But yeah, hopefully we will throw away one of these mics, or hopefully we will blend them in a way like use the low end from one and high end from another. So we're not like soups worried about phase right now.
And I think we need to move this whole arrangement a bit to the right.
Okay. Yeah,
Just so,
make that. That's actually good. The chair, I like this because now you're moving the whole setup.
yeah.
Cool.
um, yeah, I think
And
that this is good. Okay. Um, what's next?
let's do a take. Let's do a quick take, and then we'll kind of if we have to go, we have to go. We can start analyzing them next time, or maybe we can talk about them for a few minutes.
Oh yeah, let's finish what we started and then we can wrap it up. So you see my Reaper screen, right?
Yep.
So I will not change this one because this is necessary for this stream, but I can come here. Oh, and oh, this is not monitoring, so you will not hear this twice, right?
Yeah. Hope. Yeah.
And this is coming from the shotgun mic. This is showing up as stereo. It was not supposed to be stereo. Or is this mono?
That's how Reaper shows it, because technically the minimum number of channels you can have on a track is like 2. There's no option to have 1 track.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just but yeah, it's going to be a mono item that will be recorded. So
Okay. And then over here we'll do input. What is it? 1. No, it's input 3. This always throws me off because on the form factor, the actual device, they say it's left, right, 1, and 2. But in the computer, it is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So input 1 on the Zoom is actually input 3. Let me check that I have this right. So I will tap on your ears right now. I will tap on your ears on the shotgun. And then on the SM58.
Yep. I mean the other mic is also picking it up, but yeah, I think that's correct. And you can change the name of your inputs, right?
In Reaper?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do that in Reaper. Yeah, I know. I remember watching a Reaper blog video about this sometime. But you cannot do this at the operating system level, or better yet, at the device level. I think that would be ideal.
That would be nice.
I mean, this is throwing me off. So what if I just turn off the shotgun microphone? Yes, there you go. On the device, I can control which channels are open and closed. So now I am 100% sure that I have the routing right in Reaper. And the tracks are enabled for recording. So when I hit here...
Cool. Name them, please. That's my pet peeve.
Okay. That's a good point. In fact, I don't even remember anymore. So this is the shotgun. And this is the SM58.
Cool. I'm a stickler for naming and stuff.
And the cool thing about naming the tracks is that Reaper is going to name the items and even the files following that name. Okay.
Oh, Bo, get well soon. We'll see you soon.
So, I guess this is an excellent time to tune.
True.
What is your recommendation in terms of tuning a guitar? Do you tune the guitar or do you not tune the guitar? Because it's more organic.
No, I tune the guitar if it hasn't been tuned in a while, but I don't tune between takes and stuff. Like, if it goes like 10 cents off, if it goes off to an extent that I can't hear it, then I'm fine with it.
So I'm bringing in retune, and this is on a track that, I'm not monitoring it, so you don't actually trigger the effect.
I put retune on my monitoring effects, and I can tune whatever anytime.
Oh, that's kind of a cool idea, but
yeah,
I will not do it right now. Instead, I will just drop it on this other one that is being used for the stream, which happens to be using the same microphone, so that's okay. Do you like restring the guitar before recording, or?
I mean, before recording an album, sure, but if I'm recording a song, no.
Okay.
Your strings sound good.
Oh, okay. I'm using those strings that last longer. They're coated,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
supposedly they don't sound as good, but they last longer, and I care about not having to restring the guitar as often. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm using the Elixir bronze quoted point 10 or 11. I know it's the extra light version. That's the one I use
Mm-hmm.
for people who care.
Um, and it's good that you have kept the tape rolling. We'll have a lot of stuff to check for phase and stuff. And I heard some frequencies I didn't like, but yeah, let's maybe do a take and then we'll talk about all of this stuff.
So this is just the guitar, no singing.
And I feel like your shotgun is a bit too hot, so maybe play something really kind of jangly and make sure you're not clipping.
I'm not clipping, but you are right that, I mean, I'm very close to clipping, and the shotgun is hotter than the other one. So I guess this is about as close as they go. Yeah. And I'm driving them very hot. So where do I want to go? Right now when I'm speaking off axis and everything, and it's hitting about -18. When I play the guitar, it is hitting -6. Do you think that this is a healthy level?
It's definitely healthy. I would still bring it down a little bit in case the performance like heats up. People always sound check when they sound check, they play softer. Even if you tell people to play harder, just the heat of the moment in the performance always kind of brings it a tad, higher. So just maybe back it off like 1 or 2 more.
And if you change the same amount of the two microphones, they don't go down by the same amount. So now I'm hitting like, well, about the same, about -6. Let me go further down. Okay, this made a big difference. Okay, yeah. I think this is better, right?
Yeah, that's healthy. For sure, we got enough kind of we got enough loudness. I guess another thing to sound check for is like something super quiet dynamic. If you have something like that, like what does like a wee ghost note sound like?
Yeah, it's hitting about like -30, -35.
Yeah. So I think we got a good range. We got our quiets audible. We got our louds in control. Let's do that take.
What do you think is like a good level? You said that you can hear that is audible. How much is that?
I guess it's relevant to your noise floor. So like at least 12 more than silence.
Okay. So in my case, I guess silence is about the bottom of the scale at around -54. And
so 30 is a good amount of like room for us to like work with.
Okay. I think I messed it up. I think I forgot my own song. But
if it helps you to sing, then that's a point for singing while you play.
I'm gonna do that just because I need to remember my song. I wrote it like 2 days ago. Haven't played it since. Usually not the kind of thing that you want to hear from someone in the studio, but it is the matter of the fact. So I'm going to sing once or twice, and then I'm gonna go again
Sure.
without singing. The stream is
Sure.
about to start. We'll talk about code or whatever we'll talk about today. It's about to start, so please hang in there while I check that everything is running okay. Sound check, camera check, lights check. How's my hair? Oh wait, I don't have any hair, so put some pants on. So put on some pants and I'm good to go. Or something like that. Get ready wherever you are, 'cause the stream is about to start. Get ready wherever you are. Come on, man. Get ready wherever you are, 'cause the stream is about to start.
Love it. Love that ending cadence. It reminds me of Super Mario.
Yeah.
So love that when you finish that level. So awesome. So let's press pause and let's look at phase a little bit as well.
I mean, this is Lady Madonna, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lady Madonna. Dun, 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 dun,
Ah.
dun, dun, dun. Yeah. So, I guess how am I going to do this? Do I just leave the mics on?
Sure. You can mute it from Reaper if it's an issue.
Yeah, the problem is that if I mute it, you all won't be able to hear it.
Oh, I mean, we can hear you speak, so it should be good enough for, like, it's intelligible.
Okay. So I think that the recording that was sort of okay. It's not okay. I guess we are still trying things out. We're gonna do the recording for reals, but.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I actually was thinking about. Since this is going to play in the beginning of the stream, I thought that maybe we would something that would loop. How do you feel about this?
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. And then the cadence came, and I was like, we can still make it work. It could be, I have ideas up the wall. We can use Wise to have it loop, and then the last time go to the cadence.
Use
That would be
Wise to
fun.
make it loop?
Wise, it's like a game audio implementation program. So you can give it a few bits of music and then have settings for it to like go between them. So it can loop one section indefinitely, and then you tell it on the next one, go to the cadence, and it could do that. Probably Ableton can do that as well. Probably Reaper can do that as well. So yeah, scratch all of that, what I said. We can just use seeking in Reaper to do something like that.
Cool. Yeah, because the way I wrote it is it goes back to the beginning. So we could say, because the stream is about to start, and then we would go back to the stream is about to start. So it kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm. We can also just write something to go back to it. It could be like a glitchy, stuttery thing. Stream is about to start. The stream, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so we can hear both of these. Do you want to hear just one of them, or do you want to hear them together? And what are we listening for here?
I actually, at the risk of sounding like somebody who doesn't use their ears, I want to see the waveform first a little bit. And maybe can you go to back when you were playing instrumental? Um, yeah. And let's go. Do you see kind of at the end of that block of sound, or go to the beginning of that block of sound actually, and then zoom way in both vertically and horizontally. There we are. Okay. So what we want to do is, can you, I don't know if you have tap to transient or just put your cursor on the transient on the shotgun track. Yeah. And then zoom as much as you can. Okay. So yeah. So we do have a, in terms of like the sync, it's very, very decent, but the polarity wise, I feel like we can flip the polarity on the SM58 and check out what it sounds like. Because you see how the waveforms like a little further up as it gets louder. You can see that every time the shotgun is going down, the SM is going up. So possibly flipping polarity would give us a fuller sound when they're both blended
Oh,
together.
that's so cool to do this. I have never done this before. I didn't know that's something you did. That's so cool that you zoom
Hmm.
into the waveform, and yeah, it becomes very apparent that they are in sync. I put my cursor here, but
Hmm.
I mean, it's almost at the now it's like at the valley here and at the peak on this one. So
Uh-huh.
yeah,
So you could actually use like getting out of snap mode, you could slightly like nudge it to the right direction. And for that you can hold option, I think, and then you can keep the item lengths the same, but you are just moving the item contents.
yeah. But you know
Uh-huh.
what? I mean, I'm gonna do it.
And
I don't think I should do it right now. Let's just hear what the phase
okay.
is. What I inverted the polarity on this one. Is this
Hmm.
how you usually do this?
I do it from the media item property, so I also see it inverted.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and where is that baby? Oh yeah, invert phase in front of channel mode. Yep. And hit apply,
Oh, that's cool.
and now we see it. Hmm. So let's check this out. And actually, then now that we're doing this, play the song and then use the track invert polarity, and we can kind of A/B it and hear the difference.
Okay, cool. So I'll get everything that I will need here, and then let's hear it. Another thing I can hear in my performance is I can hear the pick hitting the body of the guitar, so I need to play better.
Hmm.
I guess in general, what we learned from this experience of this first take is that I will need to practice more before next week. But that's fine because today we were just setting things up and we'll have a
Yeah.
whole week for me to learn the song.
Hmm.
That I can hear. It's like night and day.
Yeah. Hmm. Giant difference. Um, and yeah. Sorry, let's go to the chat here as well. Ultra precise phase matching without snap, it's tiring, but it works. Yeah, and honestly, like to me, um the way I think of polarity is okay, if something is 180 degrees out, it's gone. Everything that isn't 180 degrees is not fully gone, but like reduced until you get to 90. And then 90 is in itself weird because if something is 90 degrees out of phase from something else, when you flip the polarity, the loudness doesn't change, but the character changes. So that's its own problem. It's like, well, which one's better? Well, both bring something to the table, both lose some stuff and gain some stuff. And then again, you come back to zero and it's, well, zero. So um, so I don't go super precise because I just feel like if you're actually, instead of being at zero or instead of being at like 90, if you're somewhere in the realm of like 20 degrees or something, then you got like a sort of character going. And we're not like at 20 right now. We're maybe at the sample level, like a few samples out of phase. And we will reevaluate this decision later. But yeah, in terms of like the sound was traveling to both mics and hitting them at reverse bits of its cycle, we fixed for that.
Yeah. So when you say, oh, sorry, I hit the wrong key. So when you say the angles, is that something that we
Mhm.
can see on the waveform?
Um, you could, if you had a sine wave, I mean, you could easily see it. With a complex waveform, it's hard for the human eye to like exactly get the degree. But you can also use like a correlation meter, is one way to kind of see it precisely. If you had a sine wave, you would know how that works,
Yeah.
right? So if it's 180, it would be, with complex waveforms, I guess there is some type of person who can kind of see it. But yeah, if you see one wave like going down and the other one coming up, that means that you are between like you're nearer to 180. If they're both going up and down together, then you're nearer to zero. And if there's like little relationship between them, then you're hovering around 90, which is like a character
Mm.
situation.
And do you usually want to just have them in phase, or do you go for this out of phase things for the character?
I think your recordings should be in phase. If we are doing anything for character, we'll do that later. But more importantly, like now that we synced them and then reversed the polarity, we got a lot louder. So that's
Mm-hmm.
great. And then, yeah, in this case, I mean, if it was a stereo recording, then you want to be more precise. Since we're not actually like sending one of these to the left and one of them to the right, and we're looking for a blend, more than anything, we're looking for the loudest possible, and then we'll blend them together. We'll cut some stuff from them, and actually, what I like doing and what we should do is we'll make copies of them and we'll do all our DSP not on the track but on the item. And then we will glue the item and then we will see what happened to the waveform so that we can also adjust these decisions later on if we need to.
Awesome. And um, another thing I want to do is to hear both of them, A B them. So I'm going to,
Oh, one by
yeah.
one.
So
Sure.
I'm
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to
absolutely.
solo this, and then I'm going to mute. No, how do I do that? I'm going to mute it and then solo it. Yes.
Oh, when you mute the shotgun, your actual voice gets muted too. So,
Yeah.
what's
So
up
maybe
with
I
that?
need to solo this, and then when I solo that, my voice still comes through.
What
Uh,
you can
I
do,
solo the master.
what you can do is lock, take your track one and lock its track controls. So toggle off its, or yeah, keep it solo, for
Yeah, I'll
example,
keep
and
it
then you can
soloed,
lock its
and
track.
then when I solo this, you still hear me. And I did.
And you can also solo defeat it if you right click on the solo button. Actually, that would be better. Solo defeat.
What's going on here? What is this?
It will never be soloed. Um, yeah, it will always be heard. So if you mute it, it will be muted.
Ah,
But if you solo other stuff,
cool.
it'll be heard.
I guess the ideal way of doing this is to have two Reaper sessions. Uh,
Mm.
one, two Reaper instances, really. You can open another Reaper instance, and I would have a Reaper instance just for the routing for the stream. I guess that's what I would do ideally. But we don't live in an ideal world, do we? So now I'm going to mute this one, but no, when I mute something, you don't hear me anymore, do you? Oh, I guess you do.
Uh, I
All
do,
right.
yeah.
So when you solo defeat, you also, yeah, okay, you fixed everything. So now we can A/B the thing. Okay, awesome. Hey yo, here we are. I hear a difference. I sure do.
Mm-hmm.
I hear the SM58 more muffled, and the shotgun
Mm-hmm.
seems brighter. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the SM58 even sounds muddy at some points, which I guess is what I was saying before. I guess I'm having the same impression I had when I was doing this by myself. Maybe it's because of the foam and everything, but I hear more of the muffled sound. The high end is being taken off by, I guess, some of this foam. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more or less the same thing. I guess it's not that I hear the SM58 muffled. I hear the shotgun a lot brighter. And I guess the distinction there is that no, I guess there's no distinction there. Yeah. So yeah, more muffled, brighter, same thing. Um, what I there is something in the SM58 that I do like, and that is its dynamic range is already way more in control without us having done anything
Mm.
compared to the shotgun, right? Do you feel that like it's a more stable kind of signal, whereas the shotgun, I'm like, oh well, we need to compress this, which is fine, like we're gonna compress, but dynamic range of SM and overall like condenser mics is really nice. It kind of feels
You
more in
mean dynamic?
control. Do you hear that?
Do you mean dynamic mics?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, did I say condenser? Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I
Yeah.
understood this. And I'm not even sure what kind of microphone this shotgun is. Is it dynamic? I think it is.
No, it should be a condenser and with a built-in phantom power that you have no control over. But um, I feel like it should be a
Oh.
condenser. And yeah, like it has a long chamber, so that creates more things. Kind of like when they hit from the side, they kind of hit a bunch of walls before they get to the diaphragm. So more cancellation from the sides is caused because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I'd be so surprised if that is not condenser though.
I'm,
E-
and I was not even saying this because I saw this somewhere. I was saying this because I assumed that it would be dynamic.
beep, 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 beep. I'll look into this because wait, my the first thing I'm seeing is that they're saying it's dynamic, but that would blow my mind. Um, anyway, so yeah, so on one hand we got a nice dynamic range with the SM. On the other hand, it's more muffled. We got a lot kind of brighter stuff happening up top. And yeah, so but I think do you think the shotgun is the clear winner?
I don't know. It depends on the rest of the things we are gonna put on the track, I suppose, like you were saying before.
Hmm.
And I mean, I will put it this way: if we were just going to use this track, what we have right now,
Hmm.
actually, I want to listen for the dynamic range you mentioned before I make my
Oh,
verdict.
sure.
I think I would go with the shotgun if I were to just publish this
Cool.
sound. I think it's
Hmm.
closer to what I hear in the room, and also I think it's just more pleasant to hear. What do you think? Which one would
Hmm.
you choose?
Yeah, I mean, so in this case, like ideally we would just use one just to make our life easier. And the shotgun, I think, has a lot more because we can get dynamic range and control and all of that. There is something in the mids of the SM58 that I like a lot. So yeah, so but what yeah, I think we can just kind of like use the shotgun and sculpt it from there. And we can do a doubling of so we'll do two takes of it and then maybe if you have the shotgun doubled, and maybe if you have some stuff to kind of fill in as the low end, then we wouldn't miss any of the low end that's SM58 is bringing to the table, and maybe we won't need the nice mids thing that it's doing.
Ah,
But we can also keep both and blend them. You know, like put a low pass on the SM, put a high pass on the shotgun, and then blend the levels together until we get something that we like. All of that is, possible.
yeah. So when you say double tracking, you mean I would play the same part twice, and
Hmm.
I thought that for doing that kind of thing, I would need some sort of grid. But you think it should? I never
Mm.
tried. Do you think it should be doable? Is this something that you usually do?
It would be doable. It would be doable, and it would be doable to do it artificial doubling. So by just creating slight changes in frequency content and play rate and even slight variations in pitch, we can also create the feeling of a doubled sound from a single performance.
That's interesting. I mean, ideally, I would be able to play it twice. Is this something that people usually do?
Mhm. Yeah, people do like. I mean, there are people, and I am not like always one of those people who can, without a grid, like listen to a performance and kind of adapt to it. But what we can do also, once we have the first performance that we like, we will tempo map it. So instead of doing anything to the audio, we will move the grid lines around the audio, and then you will have a click. Just the click is adjusting to you having played without a
That
click.
sounds super nice, and I know that I knew that Logic was able to do this. I assumed that Reaper would be able to do it because Reaper can do anything, but I never played with this
Hmm.
myself. Okay,
Cool. Yeah,
yeah.
easy.
So how about we wrap this up and continue next week?
Sure.
Okay. So Arya,
Sure. Yeah,
thank you
sounds good.
very much. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. And thank you everyone who was
Cool.
in the
Me too.
chat. I was not reading the chat, but I know you are there and I appreciate that. And I see you again
Yes.
for this kind of thing next Wednesday. I promise that I will practice the song more and I will even rewrite the lyrics because they are all scrambled. Um,
Mm.
I had a verse that my wife didn't like, though it was kind of her suggestion, but
Uh,
I cut it.
which verse?
Uh, okay, I'll give you this.
Sure.
uh, it was a different verse for the middle section, but I don't really remember how I sang it, but I can try it. Nothing on my teeth, some pants in case I need to get up. Who am I kidding? I won't need to get up. So no pants on, no pants on. Get ready. Yeah, that's the verse that
Cool.
my wife suggested the pants thing, but she didn't like how I stayed on it for a whole verse. She thought it was too creepy to think of a
Mm.
guy streaming without his pants on. Which I guess is a
Mm.
valid point.
Uh, yeah, I agree. I agree that it's the pants point is fun, but it's too long. It would be nice as a punchline to another line. It's like, oh, I should get up and do this, but wait, I don't have pants on, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Uh, flipping it. But anyway, we'll talk
but
about all that stuff
it
next
seems like
time.
when you are recording, it can be advantageous to be without pants. So there is that to look for next week.
Absolutely.
All right, let's wrap
Uh,
this up. For people who are
all right.
interested in programming, I have another stream coming up today. I stream every day of the week, and tomorrow we will be working on this app that allows you to draw on top of your computer screen. Super fun stuff, and yeah, that is it. Thank you for being here, for supporting me by subscribing to the channel, subscribing to Arya over at IDDQD Sound. The link for his website is below, and from there you will find the YouTube channel. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon, and yeah, I see you all next time. And today I will not be able to go to my usual what is it? Thanks for watching screen just by hitting a keyboard shortcut.
Hmm.
I will have to click on the button. So yeah, final thoughts, Arya?
No, thanks for watching, everybody. I like the active chat. See you all soon. See you next
Yeah.
week.
Bye, everyone.